One of the interesting stories from the whole Iran-Contra era, kind of a funny story, came with a trip. Secretary Shultz was going to Asia, and we're going to a meeting of what was called the ASEAN organization, the ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. It was a way of coordinating efforts on behalf of the free Western-oriented countries in Southeast Asia to be kind of give them some combined emphasis to stave off Chinese efforts. So Shultz is going, I'm the trip coordinator, and the Assistant Secretary of State for Latin American Affairs comes up and sees the secretary, and after the meeting, the secretary's principal advisor, Ambassador Charlie Hill, comes out to see me, and he hands me a card. And he said, this is a card with a Swiss bank account number on it, which is the Swiss bank account of the Contras in Central America, this group that are fighting against the authoritarian leftist regimes in Nicaragua. And the secretary has been asked to ask the Sultan of Brunei for a $10 million contribution to the Contras. And when he goes to that meeting, you need to give him this card so that he'll hand it to the Sultan and say, oh, could you please drop 10 mil into this account? So, what an interesting arrangement this is. As fate would have it, I developed kidney stones, and I had to drop off the trip at the last minute. I called in my deputy, wonderful officer named Jim Collins, later went on to be ambassador to Russia. And I said, Jim, here is this card with the Swiss bank account number of the Contras. When the secretary is going to meet with the Sultan of Brunei, you're to give him the card so he can hand it to the Sultan. Jim says, okay, great, I got it. Brunei is this little small sliver of a country that happens to be built on top of this massive oil field in Southeast Asia. And so it's got tons of money and could afford $10 million for a contribution. So the trip goes off, Jim comes back. I said, hey, Jim, get it done. The secretary delivered the card. Yeah, he did. And the Sultan said, yes, I'll take care of it right away. I'll have the money sent today or tomorrow right away. So, great. So, a few weeks later, the Assistant Secretary of Latin America comes back up to see us. And he said, hey, what happened on the trip? Did Secretary not give the card, or did you guys not give it to the Secretary? I said, no, we gave it to him. I called Jim in. Jim said, yes, we gave it to him. He gave it to the Sultan. Sultan said he's sending the money. And the Assistant Secretary said, well, no money's been received. I said, really? So here's the card you gave us and everything. Turns out somebody wrote the wrong bank account number on the card we were given. So now everyone's wondering, oh, I wonder who's got the 10 million. Whose account was it put into, and how do you find out? And Swiss bank accounts, people don't know. That's the whole point of them, right? People don't know who controls them. So it went on for months and months, trying to figure out where did the 10 million go, who's got it, how do you get it back, how do you get it to the Contras? I think in the end that eventually they found out and got the money back, probably went to the Contras, but it was this, hilarious mix-up. If misplacing $10 million can be said to be hilarious, but it was an amazing story from this period.